everything I hear about you is like how you were self accountable. How are you self accountable to your healing process? And
Mm.
what were you healing about?
Wow. How long do we have?
We have as much time as you want. Look, we have no time limitation, Tia.
I love it.
So go ahead. It's
I
all
love it.
yours.
So there were a few things that I was healing from. The number one thing was I had to accept an apology that I'll never receive from those people in my past who hurt me. That was the number one thing, even if it was someone I was romantically connected to, I had to be okay with not having closure. I had to be okay with, not getting the last word in or sending them a long paragraph because let's be honest, they don't care. Or else they wouldn't have done what it was to hurt you in the first place,
Mhm.
and it also took a lot of forgiveness, even for myself, forgiving myself for dealing with certain things that I knew was beneath me, dealing with certain people who I knew didn't mean me any good or people who are using me and things like that. And honestly, even with my father, my father and I, we had a strained relationship up until a couple of years ago. And I'm so glad I was in a space to receive it because when I reconnected with him, when I tell you him and I have been connected at the hip ever since, like that is my best friend.
Mm.
And again, it was because I was in a space to receive this. Now, had this been 10 years ago, probably wouldn't have been in a good situation, or I probably just would have walked away altogether. The other thing is I had to be okay with being alone and accepting that I'm making the right decisions for myself. And I also had to set up boundaries. And it could have been romantic relationships, it could have been with friendships, it could have even been with a job. Because that's the other thing. I feel like so many times when we talk about like healing and things like that, we always talk about relationships. But no, friendships too, jobs as well.
We're
You
going
need
there.
to
We're
set up
going
those
there. We're going there
exactly. You
soon.
need to set up those boundaries because people fail to realize that when you are broken or you're dealing with imposter syndrome or you're dealing with, whatever it is, certain behaviors that you have can also, affect the relationships you have at work or even your inability to recognize you're being taken advantage of or there's a toxic situation, even those situations. And again, the same thing with friendships, so I made sure that I kept those boundaries. And when I felt like, I was being taken advantage of or I wasn't, you know, people didn't recognize my worth, things like that. I knew that it was time for me to bow out gracefully. And you don't need to make a scene. You don't even need to make it known. It's between you and God or whoever it is that you believe. And again, you have to have those boundaries in all situations.
Mm. And it, your approach is not to, is to actually create something positive out of that experience and not victimize yourself. And
Absolutely.
that's really hard to do for a lot of people because a lot of people believe that being brave is calling attention and that people see you as this person that can withstand the storm. But it's okay to be vulnerable and cry. Instead of,
It
and
is.
I like the fact that you didn't build walls, you built bridges where you can cross safely and create new ways of empowering yourself. And that definitely took you to where you are today. And how amazing it is in this path. What was the identity you found in yourself? Because I'm pretty sure you found something very valuable going through the hardship, uh, all these emotions. And what identity did you found that you thought you'd never?
My strength. I didn't realize I was as strong as I was. I thought that, oh no, I had to be with these, group of women because we've been friends since, high school or since college. Or, oh no, 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 I need to be with this person because no. All you need is you and God or whatever your faith or belief system is. So what I found for me was my strength. I found my voice. And I'll be honest with you, ever since I found my voice, I haven't shut up. So I make sure I will say it from the mountaintop. I even talk for others when they're not able to. I will be your mouthpiece and be, the person that I needed when I was going through whatever it is at that moment. So I definitely found my strength. I found my voice. I found my independence. And it's funny because sometimes when you're in the thick of it and you're going through things, you don't lift your head up to see, oh wow, I've accomplished this. I did that. I overcame that. And that's the other thing too. Giving yourself grace. No one is perfect, and I haven't learned everything I need to learn. I'm still learning lessons, but those were the two main things that I found, my strength and my voice.
Amazing. Love what you just said. And Autumn, go ahead, take it over.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. My best friend and I, we have this little spot in the park that we always go to, and we sit and we talk a lot about what you're speaking about right now. And finding your voice is such an integral part of healing and forgiveness. Oh my goodness. Part of the theme I explore in my photography is how forgiveness and memory coexist with each other. Um, how, like two questions I have. How did you find yourself open to beginning a new relationship with your dad? What did that healing process look like?
Well, again, because I already took accountability, I already did the inner work, I was in a space to receive it from
Mhm.
him. And I felt like once we connected, all of the pieces started to come together for me. Now I could put a name to it because it was always that void that was inside of me that was missing. And, you tuck it away and you're like, you don't think anything of it. But for me, that healing process was,
Mm.
and it was as if we didn't miss a beat. And it's crazy because we look alike, we act alike, we, like our mannerisms are the same. Like it's so crazy to me. But yeah, all of the pieces started to come together once we reconnected. And I love it. Him and my son are thick as thieves. They're very close, and it's funny because when my son was first I was about to first introduce him to him, I said, it's up to you, whatever you want to call him. I don't want to push anything on you. If you want to call him, Mr., by his first name, or you want to call him Pop Pop, Grand, it's up to you. And it seemed like I blinked, and within an instant, it's like, oh yeah, I talked to Pop, or oh yeah, Granddad this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and like
Mm.
I'll never forget, we were talking about something, and he made a joke, and he said, "Okay, now let me call my grandfather." And when I tell you, I started crying, as cheesy as it sounds, I started crying because it was like, oh my goodness,
Yeah. I'm even
okay.
I'm even touched right now. I was gonna ask you something, Tia, uh, because sometimes losing is winning, and you won because you just let go of something that really wasn't going to give you anything positive. But I can right now, just your testimony is like even got me teary eyes. I'm not gonna lie.